I never expected I would say this, but the War Within feels like old Warcraft. And at the moment, it's probably one of the best expansions we've had in a long time. Welcome, hi, my name's Beebs, and yeah, this is my channel. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on. We're very nerdy, we like our MMOs, we like Final Fantasy, we like World of Warcraft. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because what a shift in World of Warcraft. And I'm going to admit, I did expect a shift to happen. And the reason why is actually BlizzCon. If you read between the lines, listen to their prepared speeches, listen to the ones off the cuff, you'll remember that World of Warcraft pretty much said, hey, we're doing something different, but we listened. Now, I know they've been saying this for a while, so some players would have looked at that and went, I'll believe that when I see it. But from what was presented, their shift of mentality and how they treated the players is night and day, and that's what we're here to discuss. And if you remember BlizzCon, the big keynotes were, we no longer want to be the company that makes video game based on what we want and tells the players what they want. So, when they were announcing stuff like warbands, which shifted how Warcraft viewed alts as a whole. Remember, alts used to be, it's a thing you do when you're bored. Yes, we know a lot of you do it. You could make it easier for you, but you could also just play your damn character. That's how the mentality used to be. Where warbands is like, hey. So they had told us a lot would change. And I don't know about you, but I was like those other players. I sat on the, okay, I see that this is the note. I see this is the tone you're taking. So there will be some shifts. But will you shift all the way? I've listened to these before, and no, you won't. And I was wrong. Let's look at the last two expansions, what they were about, what they changed. So let's look at the last two expansions. Let's discuss what they were about and how much that tone and how much that way of doing things have shifted. We'll start with BFA, because that really usually is where most people say it all went to hell. And it's an expansion that was sold to us as the war between Alliance and Horde again. And that's not what we got in the slightest. We got the burning of a tree, which was fucked up in many ways, but I was on board, I guess. We had a first patch that was a war, and it was actually pretty good, but you had to play both factions to understand what was really going on. But it was hard to play both factions because alts were discouraged, you know what I mean? And we ended up fighting N'Zoth. When we could have had an expansion in xal'atath. We could have had the Madness expansion. Listen. It was a miss. And most people will agree it was a miss. I felt it was middle of the road. Okay. But middle of the road. And then we had Shadowlands. I won't harp on how bad Shadowlands was. We know. Okay. One, they had a completely empty palette of what they could do with that expansion, and they did very fucking little. We had two zones that were very well written, and the other two were, what? One of them was like, why are you here? We then spent an entire expansion facing a antagonist that we knew nothing about. Everything we knew about him was retconned. And he was just there? We also played in a lot of gray. So if gray is your favorite color palette, if you're a millennial, you may have enjoyed it. I'm joking, obviously. Like, you had 2 patches out of 3 that was dark, gloomy, and gray. You had Torghast, which was dark, gloomy, and gray, and poorly executed. And Zereth Mortis that most people enjoyed, but for a lot of people was too little too late and they were gone. Myself included. I enjoyed Zereth Mortis from Dragonflight. So, that tells you anything. Now, Dragonflight was supposed to be the return to Warcraft, the return to everything, and they sold us dragons. And that's pretty much what we got. A return to Azeroth, so at least it was a little bit more familiar. You had more of your friends and people there, and you had a lot of dragons. Were those stories well told? That's up for debate. The part that I did enjoy is the Mildrasil. So in the tree, did I enjoy Malfurion fucking off to the end? Like, no, that was so bad. There was a lot of misses and a lot of hits. It was kind of, again, middle of the road. And most people agree it was middle of the road. Who was the antagonist? Ferox. Do I know anything about him? No. That's it. He's bad. And he picked up some evil powers that Deathwing had. So again, with War Within, BlizzCon's announcement, we expected something different. We hoped for something different because this is not Warcraft. It felt commercialized. It felt over the players' heads. Again, there were some cool moments and some middle of the road stuff was okay. Don't get me wrong. If you liked raiding has always been good in Warcraft. Even when the expansion shit, the raiding is pretty decent. But it doesn't mean that it hit. So War Within shifted all that. War Within's lifeblood, the essentials are different. And that's what makes it so damn good. And what do I mean when I say lifeblood different? Remember I told you about BlizzCon like 8 seconds ago? They actually did what they said they would. 100%. They opened it up. Your reputation, your faction, none of that is limited to your ults anymore. You can actually trade your shit. You can actually build yourself up. You can have an ult that just farms and mines and gets herbs, and it's fine. You can play it your way. You don't want to do that, that's okay. No one's telling you you should. The content isn't built for you to need it, which is good. That's important to me. And on the other side, it's encouraging you if you do. All good all the way around. So they shifted the philosophy of this game to player agency. And listening to the player also bleeds into the villain. Xal'atath's an amazing fucking villain. When is the last time you gave a shit about the villain in World of Warcraft? Honestly. Was it Ferox? No. Was it N'Zoth in like the one patch we got him in? No, not really. Listen, for me, we're talking Deathwing. That's fucking Cataclysm. Some of you will argue that Garrosh was a great villain, which again, up to you, but that's Pandaria. Like, Xal'atath is incredible. She's fucking with you. She has been fucking with you. She's been introduced a while back. You know a bit of her backstory. You know where she's from. You know that she's the whisper in your ear. And she shows up at random points. Excellent. She's evil enough and compelling enough to give a shit. And that's a big deal. For once, we care. And I just experienced the ending of the raid, which is a reaction I'll be posting probably this week. And that reaction is love. I love the way Xal'atath walked in and was like, hey, bitch. You wasted my time. But listen, you lasted longer than I thought you would. I knew you were going to die. And let me add, we're pretty sure that she's not the bad guy for the expansion. We're pretty sure we're not killing her. And it doesn't feel like it's being dragged on, and it doesn't feel like this is a trilogy yet. That's right, it's a trilogy. And I don't feel like they're next time on Dragon Ball Z type situation. That could be me, and that could very well change as the expansion continues and as the patches come out. It may be dragged on, but so far, that's a no, and I'm very much enjoying it. We also got some actually good factions. Like, decent. The Earthen Dwarves, alright, they were well introduced. With Daggerin in there, it's easy to fall for them. Will I be making one? No, not my jam, but that's okay. What really caught me off guard was the kobolds, which are adorable. We need an adorable one. And the spiders. I'm an arachnophobe. I play with arachnophobia mode on, but I don't want to leave the spider zone. It's the best one. Like, listen, the drama, the politics, the subterfuge, the sneaky. I want to be called Little Morsel for the rest of my life. By her, specifically. It is so good. I give a damn. I want to know. I'm finding myself questing in the spider zone. Yes, it's the crab zone for me, but still. Because I like it. And that's something that hasn't happened in a while. That you're like, I'm going to quest here because fuck it, I like the faction. The new systems are pretty good too, actually. Listen, the new talent tree, I don't give a shit about. I don't like talent trees generally speaking because I'm of the belief that not a lot of people actually read through them and actually like pick the ones they like out and call it a day. I'm of the belief that you Google it and you leave it there until the patch changes and you need to re-Google it. So to me, a talent tree is not a build. It's really just a copy what's online. So we can argue about that in another video. But to me, them adding the class recognition or whatever didn't do fuck all for me. What did do something though, the delves. Delves is what Torghast should have been. Mini OP'd adventures that can scale in difficulty, that are fun. You've got your best friend Bran with you, who is a best friend. He's actually pretty good too. They can be colorful. They can be different. You can choose the one you want to do. And at the beginning, I wasn't sold on it. And as I kept doing more, I was like, man, these are actually quite fun. The rewards are actually quite good. This could be actually worth it. That's what Torghast needed from the get-go. So yeah, they finally nailed it, and I was proven wrong. And again, happy to be wrong in these situations, especially if it comes out super positive like Delves. Oh, excuse me. And then finally, there's the vibe. I don't expect everyone to agree with me on this one. That's fine. And it's hard to explain and put into words, but it feels like Warcraft again. It, not tangible, but like the adventuring feels fun. The exploration feels enjoyable. You're finding random shit and you're happy to find random shit. Like I found a fish in the ocean that was like, hey, give me some help here. And I got this cool pet out of it. And it turned out to be a kraken, like, cool, little shit like that. And again, it feels like Warcraft. It feels like Pandaria. That's what I'm going to put it down to. It feels like Pandaria, because Pandaria was adventurous. It was explorative. It gave you a whole new look on how things work at Azeroth, how new factions work, etc. And it didn't come from the Well of Eternity books. It's one of the few expansions where you can't go back to the Well of Eternity books and be like, right there. That's where you got that. Which, that's also a fun exercise. Go through all the expansions and tell me which ones don't touch on Well of Eternity. Not many. The one negative that I've heard about is Mythic Plus. And Mythic Plus, to me, not my bag. It's not something I like. It's something I've never liked, even when they first introduced it. So, we're not going off of my experience here. But I've heard a lot of issues, and the issues are usually categorized in really three ways. So we've got social issues, scaling issues, and then the grouping. Social issues, we've got stuff like the tank didn't put consecration down. So there's like some player issues. There's some issues with grouping in the sense that I only want players that have defeated this 1,000 times, that are top geared, that have this achievement. So that means that not many people are going to join your group, or they can't. Again, I'm a DPS player. That means I'm not doing Mythic Plus. There's the scaling, which a lot of people, which I saw on Twitter, and it makes a lot of sense. They changed how the levels of Mythic Plus scale. So players still have that, like, oh, Mythic Plus 5 is easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're going to do it. And realize, holy shit, it is not. It is not. So there's that. And finally, the grouping. Party Finder doesn't work. Whether it's because of the social issues, whether because of the abundance of certain classes, it's not working. Guild runs are working, this isn't. So there's a lot going on with Mythic Plus that does need a solid haul back, and that is the big negative so far that I've been hearing across the board. But again, generally speaking, this is turning out to be really, really, really good. I can't wait to see the next part of the MSQ. I want xal'atath to do more evil shit. I'm enjoying it. I love it. And it feels good again. It's hard to explain, but I hope I covered it well in this video. If you liked it, listen, you know what to do. Like, subscribe. It's free. Leave me a comment or tell me you hated it. I'm cool either way. In the meantime, though, thank you so much for being here. Have yourself a legendary day, and I can't wait to see you guys again on the next one. Bye. I made that entire video about how good Warcraft is, and I didn't mention xal'atath's feet once.